If you're running Google Ads for your business and you're currently not seeing the results you want, or you're just getting ready to run Google Ads for the first time, then this video is perfect for you. So I've worked with over 100 brands and have managed well over $5 million in ad spend and have clients in all different industries. And I do lots of audits and I take over accounts from past agencies who weren't able to perform. And I constantly see the same exact mistakes being made in accounts over and over, day in and day out. So I want to make a video on how to actually structure campaigns correctly. So this video is not going to be showing you, what high converting landing pages look like, how to write ad copy, what keywords to choose, because for the most part, most people don't struggle with the part of, setting up the keywords, writing the ad copy, because no matter what, as long as you have the right keywords in there, you are always going to be, getting that high intent traffic. But most people struggle with conversion rates. And it's not necessarily your fault. And the reason why I say that is because most issues that are holding accounts back from performing at their highest level is actually just like structural and foundational account/campaign setup mistakes that are, very hard to come across. These aren't those are settings that are not in most videos. They might be very niche and they could be throwing away a lot of spend. So that is the whole point of this video, teaching you how to set it up the right way from an expert like myself who's worked with well over 100 companies. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm just showing you guys my Google Ad account. And yes, do not make fun of me. I am running YouTube retargeting ads. So now that you've watched this far in the video, if you see my amazing face all over YouTube telling you to get a free audit for me, then I'm sorry, but I'm also not sorry. Get a free audit for me. Go into my description and click on the link that'll take you to my website. If I'm not making a video, if I'm not talking to a client, if I'm not sleeping, I will call you back within quite literally minutes. I could show you receipts of people filling out my form and then being called back instantly because I happen to be on my phone, because I'm always working on my phone, etc. So let me get you a free audit. I'll send you a massive document of all the findings and even get on a call with you and show you everything that I find. But enough with that. Let's go ahead and getting into actually making our first campaign. And then we will go into some more actual account level settings. And then also I'm going to talk about how to almost future proof, this foundation and this overall setup, because as you get data in your account, some things might change, but I'm going to show you just overall the correct way of how to set everything up from now, in the past, present, future, everything. So let's go. This is how you can start a campaign. You can click here, you can click here, you can click in here. Doesn't matter. Start campaign. I'm not necessarily going to show you guys all this stuff right here. Besides, the first thing I will say is a lot of people are going to go for leads or sales, depending if you're local service or e-commerce right away, because that's what you want. But if you're in a brand new Google Ad account, you always want to go for website traffic until you're getting at least one conversion a day. Because if you switch and optimize for leads, Google doesn't have any data on your converters or your leads. So it has almost no direction. So go ahead and start with website traffic. Depending on your conversion goal is going to be here. That is a topic for a different video. Go ahead and go with search campaign. That's what we're going to use for this. And I'm assuming that's likely what you'll be making. Go ahead and put your website in here. Let me throw mine in here. Let's go ahead and move on from that. All right, now go ahead and just name your campaign whatever. But what I like to do is I always like to say, what kind of campaign, our objective, which is going to be, website traffic for now. Maybe what you're overall advertising for. A lot of people have different services they use different campaigns for, etc. I'm just going to put, Google Ads. That's my thing. I'm a Google Ads agency. I'm going to put my agency abbreviation so I know it's me. Go ahead and move forward. Now, here's where we get into the real stuff, okay? We already clicked on website traffic. Google wants you to go for conversions. They always want you to go for max conversions, which is good, but not when you have no data. So again, make sure you're going for clicks here. And whatever you do, do not automatically start yourself with the maximum cost per click bid limit. There is no reason to do this yet. What you need to do is as your ads start running, go into your ad groups and go into your keywords and look at, okay, how much are my keywords costing? I'm sure depending on what type of business you're in, there are going to be some keywords that are way more expensive than others, and those might not even be your best converting keywords. But again, you do not want to do that off the bat. You don't want to guess. Everything is going to depend on your ad schedule. You could be an emergency locksmith and only be advertising from midnight to 5 a.m. So if you just did, normal keyword research, you're not going to see those insights. So make sure you don't do anything with this yet, but keep an eye on it. Next thing here, don't mess with this. Keep going. Now here, I still see this in a lot of accounts. I see people spending tens of thousands of dollars a month and they still have these checked, okay? We do not want to be featured on, websites like dogpile.co. I know that sounds funny, but that is really one of, that's just an example. It's a real example of one of the websites that is a part of this, search network. We don't need to be a part of that. We want to be on Google. Go ahead and uncheck that. Same thing with Google Display Network. This is a great way for Google to spend your money. If we want to, have static ads or YouTube ads or anything like that, we want to be doing a performance max or a demand gen or a video or a display campaign. We do not want to be wasting our budget on that. We want the highest intent searches and clicks only in the search engine result page, SERP. So go ahead and uncheck both of those. Now, the next thing too, there are tons of videos about this. Almost everyone does it slightly different. I'm going to show you the absolute best way to do it. So first thing is go ahead and go to location options, go to presence, and go to people in or regularly in your locations. Especially if you're a service-based business, this doesn't matter as much if you're e-commerce because you're going to be going USA, doesn't really matter as much. But for local service, I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. I don't want people looking to plan their bachelor parties here and then seeing, my client's plumbing ads. That's not what we want. So go ahead and just go to presence. And then for any type of location targeting you're doing, go ahead and go to enter another location, go to advanced search. And then here's what you're going to do. Go ahead. Well, let's just scroll in first. So like I told you, I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona, and this right here represents basically the whole valley. Okay. So if you don't know, we got Scottsdale, Glendale, Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert, this whole area. Okay. This everywhere in here, Phoenix, the whole thing. So instead of just being like, hey, I want Phoenix, or hey, I want Scottsdale, right? It all depends on, how far you're willing to drive, to make these service calls, etc. But instead of just grouping everything in, because as you're going to see, let me show you this example actually. If I go ahead and click on Scottsdale, Arizona, you may not be familiar with the area, and that is totally fine. Let me just tell you real quick. This part right here is South Scottsdale, like Old Town area. This up here is Cave Creek. That's about an hour drive, okay? Maybe that's an exaggeration, but if this is during traffic or this is right after people get off work and they have a plumbing call, locksmith issue, it's 5, 6 o'clock. This is a pretty steep drive. So let's say that you want to include Scottsdale, but you're realizing, okay, well, I kind of include Paradise Valley in here. Like I include that as part of Scottsdale for the most part, right? Even though it's technically not, this is actually, the city line, but people relatively would associate, this whole area with Scottsdale as well. What you want to do, instead of doing it like that, you almost want to do almost like gerrymander this yourself and almost make your own areas of which you want to target for your location. So I always go to show all areas, and you can hold control and zoom in with your scroll wheel. And I literally choose. So what this does is this highlights neighborhoods and zip codes. So for instance, if you want to do Scottsdale, but you don't want to go way up here, and you also want to include these areas as well as Paradise Valley in one, go ahead and click on this and then just start clicking by zip code and by neighborhood. So as we see, a lot of these are zip codes right now as they're being populated here, but a lot of these are also neighborhoods. Okay, so Old Town, that's going to be considered a neighborhood. And then you go from there, etc. Make sure you're not missing anything. But then this allows you to literally only target exactly what you want. No BS. See, that one got auto pop because I clicked it. We don't need that whole thing. I'm sure there are ways if I was to look in deeper here. Let's go ahead and remove this. Ooh, not that. Oh gosh, this is getting a mess. No, not what we need. So see how they almost overlap each other. So I clicked on that, which populated this whole thing. But as you can see, a lot of these, they overlap each other. So there are ways to make sure that you're only getting specific zip codes and neighborhoods. So do this as you will, but this is, in my opinion, the best way to actually be targeting location. So I'm going to go ahead and say for the video's sake, but do that as you will. Go ahead and scroll down. Of course, if you want to be targeting people who also speak Spanish, then you would choose that here. But for most people, you're going to stick with English. Here, what Google wants you to do is they want to show you the basics here, and then they want you to click next. But we're going to look into that, okay? Audience segments. No need for that. So just make sure this is just on observation for now. This would be more stuff like, hey, we want to target specific types of people, specific demographics, etc. That's more for a performance max, which is more influence marketing and kind of going up in the marketing funnel. But we literally only want to go based off of, we only want our ads to show based on what people search for. Okay, that's literally the only thing we want. All these little things like this, and then these two things, the Google search partners and the display network, those are things that Google is trying to do just to show your ads in more places besides search to, I don't want to say waste your spend, but I would say dilute your spend. So we really want to focus only on the bottom. So pay really close attention to this. Go to more settings. Here are some things that I see as well. Ad schedule. I actually see a lot of service providers getting spend wasted on certain times that they're not in business. So if you are a plumber, only have your phone number here when you are, going to be actually answering the phone, because And I specifically chose a plumber for this example because if it's 10 o'clock at night, you guys close at 5, someone has a plumbing issue, because that would be, the time of day that there would be more of an emergency if you got a 10 p.m. call. If you don't answer, which you're not going to because you're not there, you're not answering calls at that time, they're going to call someone else because their issue is urgent. So there's no point in taking these calls and calling them back in the morning because they've likely already got their problem fixed. They're not going to just call you like, well, I'll just leave my toilet overflowing and I'll call someone. I'll call these guys back in the morning. So if this applies to your business, then make sure of it. And then for here too, ad rotation, always just do optimize for best performing ads, etc. Everything else you can leave. Now, here's where it gets super fun. AI Max's new update. I have not seen, too much with this. I don't do anything with it. Most, big agencies and guys who are in the space, they're not really going to do much with it. But as you can see, it already knows. Maybe it doesn't actually know, but it knows that I'm going to click off these options anyways. But some of the things that I see is that people actually do text customization. I don't know. Oh, it's not letting me do it because I haven't checked this, but don't check this. And do not do text customization, and do not do final URL. Because what this does is this uses what Google thinks is like our better pages for people to be on your website, and it's going to send them there. So if you have a landing page, if you have a service page you want people to go to, there's a chance that Google's going to be putting people on different pages of your website because it thinks it's going to be best. So don't do that. Same thing with text customization. Basically, this is going to use text from your website, landing page, whatever, and it's going to be creating like customized copy. This can be kind of okay, but I would not recommend it. It's not going to use anything emotional unless it's on your website. It's just going to be very cookie cutter. A lot of it's going to kind of like almost look like run-ons because it's just like putting a lot of different stuff in front of someone at the same time. And also, if you're in any kind of like financial service industry, or if, let's say you're a med spa or weight loss injection clinic, do not do this or real estate actually, now that I think of it, because you run the risk of making a false claim or saying something that you shouldn't. Because Google, it's not going to be able to pick up on that right away. So again, always make sure that you have full control over all of your ads, unless it's necessary. But seriously, for this, I would not do any of that. For brands, if you want, this isn't something that you need to do right away. This is one of those things where you would observe it and maybe add it in the future. But you're always welcome to exclude your own brand as well as competitor brands if you'd like. But I usually just make those as negative keywords as I go in as well. But you're more than welcome just to start doing that here by adding inclusions and exclusions. So let's go ahead and go next here. So again, like I told you, I'm not necessarily going to show you, exactly how to make ad groups and, do keyword research and write ad copy. I have tons of videos like that on my channel. You'll see, I'll have them in the description, but I've got videos on how to run Google ads for local service, e-commerce. I have tons of small different industries like plumbing, locksmith, mobile auto detailing, e-commerce, jewelry, med spas, etc. I have tons. So I'm not going to go through that here. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip. I'm not going to do this for now, but some of the things that I will show you to do in here is, again, always make sure you add images, always have your business name, your logo, etc. Site links. These are really important because, so in the past, those used to actually go vertical on the screen. Oops. And now I've noticed that some of them also go horizontal. Google's just basically split testing and trying to save more real estate on the screen, but you always want to fill all this stuff out as you can because it's just going to help you take up more digital real estate, which is really, really important. Same thing with callouts here. All these are little gimmies. Make sure you have your phone number on there, all that little stuff. All right, now that you come to the bottom part of where you would be, creating your ad groups, finishing creating your first ad group by adding your keywords, then writing your ad copy, moving on, etc. Normally you would click next. I'm just going to go ahead and click cancel. I'm just going to completely close out of this because I am done with this for my part. But one thing I will say, so this comes down to the structure, but I didn't really find it worth actually showing you because it's going to be really hard while I'm in the actual campaign creation phase there. But when you are making ad groups, this is one of the most important mistakes or most important things that I see people mistaking in their Google ad accounts. And it's going to be, so it's weird. It's a split. I either see this or I see this, but the answer is right here in the middle. So number one is that someone either has a ton of different ad groups, and don't forget your keywords are connected to your ad groups. Okay, just don't forget that. But the first thing, like I said, I see is that someone either has 50 plus or 100 plus keywords in one ad group, or the next thing that I see is that someone has like maybe 3 to 4 or 5 different ad groups, but they have a ton of the exact same keywords that are overlapping in multiple different ad groups. And both of those things are actually hurting you a lot. And what you need to be doing is you need to be doing what's called stags. STAGs, and that is single theme ad groups. This is the best thing you could be doing on setting up your actual campaign ad group structure the best, and this will honestly make the biggest difference in your entire account. You need to be separating by theme. Okay, if you're a mobile auto detailer, I could go on with this for any different kind of business. But for example, actually, let's use an asphalt paving company. Okay, let's say that you do crack sealing, seal coating, patching, commercial, and residential asphalt paving. I get that you do all those, but at least have a different ad group for each of those services. And same thing with locations. I recommend not putting locations as keywords and then putting those locations in headlines, because if someone's not in that location, but you have keywords for other locations, that means it's going to be in your ads as well. Or if it is in your ads, you run the risk of people seeing locations that they're not in, which is not very appetizing, right? But what I'm trying to say is that you don't want all of these keywords and services and different themes in the exact same ad group, because you want people to see on, when they're searching, they want people to see exactly what they're looking for. Okay. So if someone's looking up car wash or mobile car wash, you do not want to come up as like paint correction, mobile auto detailing. Even though you might be great, you might have tons of reviews, you might have a great site, you might be like, well, this is someone who's in our, in kind of our space. That is really cool, but have a specific ad group for that, because you don't want to be using, the spend that way. The simple way to put it is you want to give people exactly what they were looking for. This is also going to help you see data a lot more clearly and optimize better in the future when you have those things separated. Okay, I get down really nerdy, and like if I have a locksmith who's doing like locksmith stuff at night, I literally have a different ad group with keywords and ad copy that relates and is segmented into 24/7 locksmith, emergency locksmith, locksmith open now or near me, right? And then like, residential locksmith, assuming, we have the ad schedule set just for those nighttime hours in general. And then same thing with like, vehicle, auto, mobile, locksmith. I want those all so separated. And the reason why I do that again is because I want the ad copy and the ads attached to those ad groups to reflect on the keyword and what people are searching. I want them to see exactly what they're looking for. I don't want to try and sell them, hey, emergency locksmith in Chandler, when someone's in Scottsdale and they look up, emergency locksmith near me. Okay, we don't want to see that. We want to give people exactly what they were looking for. So that ad group structure is literally one of the best pieces of advice that I could give you right now. And I can't tell you how often I see people messing it up. So another thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to go ahead and go to recommendations. Google is always going to give you complete BS. Just don't even worry about these. You're also going to get, now that you've made your first campaign, likely you're going to be getting a lot of emails from like your Google ad rep. They're going to call you. Do not get on a call with them. Okay. This is one of the biggest foundational. So what you can actually do is if you get on this call, you will almost revert most of those foundational things that we set up for you correctly. Okay. I had a client not super recently, but kind of recent, within this year. We are running ads for lead generation for a weight loss injection clinic. They got on a call with their Google ad guy. They set a target ROAS. Okay, so ROAS means return on ad spend, which is a percentage, ideally for people who are making a purchase on your site or online, and you are, tracking that exact dollar amount that they spent. That's your return on ad spend. When you're collecting leads, we always count, these conversions or leads as just one, because, it's just like we're going for leads, not an actual sale that's attached to a dollar amount. So this guy or this client of mine, who was advertising for getting leads for his weight loss injection clinic, now had a target ROAS set of 400%. We just started the new account and he had everything on AI bidding, or I guess it was max conversions, which is part of the AI bidding. And then he turned all of his keywords on a broad keyword. So now they were overlapping. They were not overspending, but they were just not spending on the highest intent searches because some words were being taken out of each keyword and just, being attached to other search terms. And of course, because he wasn't looking at his negative keyword list, because I was running the ads, almost all of our searches were irrelevant, etc. So what I'm trying to say is that all these guys have very cookie cutter solutions. They want you to increase your budget, change everything to AI, broad, and then max conversions. Don't do it. And then part of that, because they know a lot of people don't respond to them, is that now they hit you in here and they're going to be like, ooh, your recommendation score, your optimization score is really down. You need to do all these things, okay? But be very careful with those, right? For instance, right here, one of the things it's knocking me for is that it wants me to create and link a merchant center account. That is for if I sell physical products. I don't, okay? So that's part of the stuff I'm talking about here is being very careful with that. But the main thing I want to go into here is this will screw up everything and you won't even know it. You will not even know it unless you're looking at your change history or your notifications, which I promise almost no one is. But you're going to want to go to auto apply and see what settings are being auto applied. So you see all this big list right here. The ones I have right here, these are the only things you should have checked in here. I see so many times, I see so many people in here having this checked. Google is going to make these adjustments for you and you won't even know. I'm telling you right now, I'll know because I'll be like, what the heck is going on in the account? I'll look at the change history, I'll be able to see. But I always check this before to avoid that. But you yourself running ads, if this is happening, you can always also do that too. We made that, excuse me. We made we checked this and made sure it was already checked when we created that campaign. But again, this is the account level, so this will be in for all of your campaigns. But this is okay. But other than that, every single one of these should all be unchecked. So you can go ahead and read them if you want. But basically, what this is going to do is like you're just giving your entire foundation, the entire structure of your account. You're just putting it into Google's hands, saying, "Hey, make all the changes that you like." Really. We don't want to necessarily always go for, maximize clicks, or we're not ready for maximizing conversions. Conversion value for going for leads makes absolutely no sense because the value of all of them is 1. We might not be ready for a CPA and Google might do it wrong. Target ROAS might not be right. Again, all this stuff, you're just letting it up to Google and I'm telling you, it's not going to be the move. And especially if you have multiple of these clicked at the same time, which most people do, you're not just going to have one. What's going to potentially happen is the bidding strategy is just going to change. Not over and over, but often enough where right when you start seeing maybe results, whether they're good or bad or not, it's going to change into another one to switch the model. Your ads might go back in a learning phase. You're switching the whole learning AI model of how Google finds the best customers for you as you collect data. And your account is never going to improve because it's constantly being thrown around. So that is some of the biggest, everything in this video is some of the best foundational structure advice I can give for anyone. Just running Google Ads in general. Again, I have audited dozens and dozens of accounts. I see all of these exact same things all the time. Actually, now that I think about it, the last thing I want to say is when you are making your negative keyword list, make sure that your negative keywords are not broad unless they are broad negative keywords like price or cost or cheap or DIY or Home Depot. Those are okay. You can go ahead and make those broad negative all you want. But for instance, I have seen a locksmith very recently. He was targeting, right? We were doing a locksmith, emergency locksmith, key repair for vehicles, right? So any car, vehicle, automotive, those were all the similar searches we were getting. But he had the word auto shop as a negative broad keyword. So you're thinking, okay, the negative broad keyword the negative keyword of auto shop makes sense. We're not an auto shop. We're a locksmith. But when you have the word auto shop, but auto in that keyword as a broad, you risk overlapping it with the keywords that you are targeting, which are like auto locksmith or, auto key replacement or auto key repair, whatever. You risk that little overlap right there. And that's going to either limit spending. It's going to give mixed signals. There could be a lot of things wrong with that. So you want to make sure that those are very clear. So use phrase or exact match more for very specific, industry specific or close related terms, which you are targeting in your keywords. But all those ones, like I said, like DIY, cheap, prices, Home Depot, how to, what is, etc., you can make those broad. But that's the last thing I'm going to say in this video. I hope I helped you guys and set you a good foundation. I'm telling you, one of the reasons why AI is not going to take my job tomorrow, maybe eventually, probably eventually, but not right at this moment, is because of how important it is to set up your account the right way. Again, anyone can put in keywords and anyone can write an ad headline and be getting, searches and traffic for exactly what they want. But the biggest thing is conversion. That is the thing that stumps everyone. And making sure that you shed all this fat is going to make sure that you're getting very linear conversions and you have a high conversion rate. So I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, please let me know down below in the comments, as well as I do free Google ad audits. Please take me up on it. I will call you back right away. I'll ask you where you're at, how much you're spending, what kind of business you have, and we will get on a call as soon as we can. I'll give you a massive, probably 10 to 15 page document on all the findings that I have, as well as get on a call with you live and actually show you those findings, uncover the potential together. And then I might just pitch you on letting me do it for you because I guarantee you I will crush it for you. So Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.